following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle, Matt, Dave, John, the Superplex Brothers! Welcome everyone to the Superplex Brothers podcast. I'm Dave.
I'm Austin.
And I'm DukeCT.
And of course, new voices. You may notice Matt and John ain't here. What the fuck happened? This show's been taken over by new people. Well, we could explain that. Well, Matt is going on vacation to London, so he's getting ready for that. John is swamped with work before the 4th of July. And, well, that's what happens when you work for the government. So, yeah. Less said about that, the better. This is, of course, the podcast for video games and pro wrestling. And there's not a hell of a lot to talk about in terms of updates on the site or any kind of major Superplex Brothers news. So I guess let's head straight into the wrestling portion of the podcast, which means we have to talk about Monday Night Raw. Oh, Monday Night Raw. I will say this about Monday Night Raw. It was a fillery show. Not a hell of a lot happened. But it wasn't as offensive to my sensitivities and my sensibilities, and it didn't make me want to vomit like other Raws have done. So I'll give it credit.
It didn't trigger you?
No, it did not trigger me. I was not triggered by this Raw. So anyway, let's talk about this Raw. We start off with Seth Rollins, J&J Security, and Kane coming out to start the show. I'm surprised Triple H wasn't with them. Because Triple H has started almost every Raw for the past 10 years. But anyway, Seth Rollins is congratulating himself and his crew for taking up Brock Lesnar last week, and he decides to lavish them with gifts. The first gift were 3 Apple Watches. Those Apple Watches were pretty snazzy, though.
They look nice, but, I just call me when they actually have a case that looks like the Power Rangers wristwatch, then I might actually get one.
If only. Next, he decides to give Kane a trip to Hawaii. And I love Kane's response to this. I've always wanted to throw small creatures into volcanoes.
Yeah, you can just see the little stuff there. There's always going to be a little bit of a chuckle.
You could tell they had a lot of fun with this segment, and they should have. It was funny. Seth Rollins then really brings out his game show host when he gives J&J Security a brand new car. Oh God.
Yep, it was just a brand new car, and then everything was just all right until Big Show showed up.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Big Show shows up, and we are forced to watch Big Show versus Mark Henry. Ugh.
I will say this. They actually, once upon a time, they actually had a decent match.
Vengeance 2011.
Money in the Bank. Yeah. Yeah, they had. But this was just terrible. I just didn't care for it at all. And then
Put these two on a pay-per-view, they try. Put them on Raw, no fucks given.
And then you have this, Big Show, then you have Ryback come in, and then, takes out Big Show. Then you have The Miz, which is... Hooray. Why is he still here?
I hate the Intercontinental title scene right now. I really do. This is probably the most boring the Intercontinental title scene has been.
Yeah. Remember everybody said the big card titles are back. I'm like, no.
Well, the U.S. title is.
Cena's actually getting
the U.S. title is, but the Intercontinental title right now is in the shitter. I think it's even worse now than it was before Daniel Bryan won the belt.
Yeah, but you know what? I know this will not give me much love to all the Superplex Brothers people out there, but God dang it, I like Ryback. And
that'll
Ryback
only get you heat with Matt.
He does.
But, I don't like Ryback, but I don't hate him to that level. But, let's be honest, his title run so far has been shit.
But look at his opponents. You have Miz and Big Show. You can only do so much.
Well, true, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, what the fuck, man? And his promo work ever since he all of a sudden was like, oh, the law of attraction is my method of everything. He's become a lot worse on the mic and just.
I think he's gotten better. I think his heel run proved that he actually does have that personality.
He's far worse now than he was during his heel run.
His heel work is great. Oh, I like some of it. I mean, to me, he gets a chuckle out of me, which, I basically have very low standards when coming to WWE now. So basically, if Ryback and they should get me a chuckle or something.
The thing about Ryback was he found his stride when he had his heel run. He worked far better as the O'Doyle gimmick than, I'm a sensitive big guy now.
Yeah, that's true. He was more a Biff Tannen. Which honestly he was playing the role Jack Swagger should have been. I said it. That's the role Jack Swagger should have been. He looks like Biff Tannen, so why not go all in on that?
Anyway,
yes.
So yeah, Big Show and Mark Henry have a shit show. Ryback comes out, Miz gets involved, and then Miz and Ryback is right now, and that ends in a count out. Nobody gives a shit.
But you know what? That's better, because the last time I remember these two going one-on-one was back in 2013, a mid-heel run of Ryback, where he actually quit when Miz was kicking his leg. I remember that. I was like, that's it. Ryback can't come back from that. I was like, why? Just why? You remember that, man? Don't tell me you forgot about that.
I tried to forget.
When he actually,
I tried to forget. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Triggered.
I'm now triggered, goddammit. Fuck, that's wrong. But, okay, let's move on. We have Divas to talk about. Page 1, let's move on. We now have to talk about John Cena.
Damn straight.
Oh, God, I just buried the Divas division hard. Let me at least say Paige beat Alicia Fox. There, now we can move on.
Yep, let's move on to something that actually was good. Cena versus Cesaro.
Well, let me build it up first. You gotta ruin the surprise. Oh. Dude, get with the program. But
I am the spoiler.
No, the spoiler was a wrestler in the 60s. But,
I'm surprised no one actually tried to bring that back, especially with the internet and everything else. So why hasn't that gimmick come back yet?
Actually, fun fact, the wrestler, the spoiler, was the guy who trained The Undertaker. Not a lot of people know that. But,
yeah.
Anyway, John Cena comes out to begin the U.S. Open Challenge, and Kevin Owens comes out and initially accepts the challenge. And he comes to the ring, and they announce that the match is about to happen, and then Kevin Owens takes the mic and says, "No, I changed my mind. We'll wait till Battleground." And then Cesaro comes out as Duke Spoiled, and then John Cena and Cesaro have a really good match. This was one of the better matches I've seen on Raw in a while, and I said this already in the first take, because yes, this is take 2, ladies and gentlemen. Some behind-the-scenes information for you. But John Cena getting the U.S. title has actually done a hell of a lot of good for both John Cena and for the title. So,
yeah,
I can't help but appreciate
keeps him present on Raw, and also gets people more on Raw, makes things a lot better for young guys. I mean, heck, to me, his matches are always at least probably show stealers, and for the most part. I mean, him and Dean Ambrose, him and Neville, him and Owens, which, well, those matches have really been, what's the word? JR would say barn burners and such.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with this one with Cesaro.
Yeah, I have to say, Cena with the U.S. title it's kind of refreshed Cena a little bit, He's not in the main event winning LOL. I mean, yeah, he's winning LOL in the mid-card, but at least the people in the mid-card are getting a chance to look good when doing it. And you can't help but appreciate that. And Cesaro looked like a goddamn champ. So, yeah. So anyway, after the match, Owens hits the pop-up powerbomb on both Cesaro and Cena and says that he is the only person who will ever beat Cena for the U.S. title because Owens actually interfered and cost Cesaro the match. Cesaro won via DQ.
I hope this turns to a triple threat. Please tell me this turns to a triple threat.
What needs to happen is Owens beats Cena at Battleground, and then we get a Cesaro-Owens feud. That would be awesome. Probably not going to happen, especially now that Cena is in the finalists running for ESPN Sports Humanitarian Award. Yeah, Cena's retaining. I'm
we're
sad
gonna
to
have
say.
Cena probably. Yeah, Cena. No, I see a much worse fate. Cena only, but I think Cena's gonna win the main title soon. I think Cena's gonna probably win the WWE title soon if he wins the Sportsman of the Year joint. Don't be surprised he drops the title to Owens and he main events again.
Oh yeah, once Cena loses the U.S. title, he's going back to the world title picture. Yeah. Which, you know what though? Honestly, that wouldn't bother me. We had plenty of time where Cena was not in the world title picture. So if he wants to go back, after Seth Rollins beats Lesnar at Battleground or whatever, then that's fine by me. Maybe not win the title, but be in the title contention, I have no problem with. So Bray Wyatt cuts a promo on Roman Reigns, and apparently now the thing is anyone but you. So Bray Wyatt has become the internet wrestling community, apparently. But he says that he's going to make Roman Reigns see the truth. He says life isn't always fair. He says he's always wanted to be his father's favorite, but he was thrown away like trash. And this kind of pissed me off because Bray Wyatt is now recycling shit from his NXT promos. He threw out, "Look, Daddy, I got my wings back," which is something he said when he returned on NXT years ago. So, recycling old material, not a fan. And I don't blame Bray for that. I'm pretty sure they told him to say that. He says anyone deserves what Roman has except for him, and that Roman is his now. He says that he is the yin to Roman's yang, and that Roman will never succeed because he won't let him. Ugh. They're really setting up Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns as like the big future rivalry? Ew.
Yeah. These two have no chemistry in the ring, and it's a shame because I think Roman has gotten a lot better after the whole Royal Rumble cock-up, which I don't know how they did, which you have to be in awe. That the Royal Rumble,
twice,
they screwed that up so royally.
Twice.
Twice. Yeah, it is twice. Yes, twice. And then after a very good match with him and Lesnar at WrestleMania, and then having him being rehabbed all this time, getting some fan support, I honestly think, this Bray Wyatt feud is going to probably kill it because these two probably don't have any good chemistry with each other, and it's going to really turn people against Roman again, and Bray's going to go right back in this hole and
the thing
be
is,
completely utterly forgotten.
That match Lesnar could have been had with anyone. Roman Reigns really contributed nothing to it because he didn't do anything. Lesnar did all the work. You could have thrown a sack of potatoes in there and it would have had the same result. But
well, I will say this: he had some good matches with him and Daniel Bryan, and him and this.
A Broom could have a good match.
I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying because this guy's going to be a future.
A Broom could have had a good match with Daniel Bryan.
But I'm trying to be this is their chosen one. I'm trying to say, you know what? It's their chosen one, and this is our next guy. So Roman Reigns is going to be our next guy, whether we like it or not.
So, Christ. Anyway, let's move on to the next segment, please. Bo Dallas and the New Day versus the Lucha Dragons and the Primetime Players. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, Duke, but we've noticed a pattern here on the Superplex Brothers that whenever you are the tag team champions, you are destined to lose every match that is not a title match. However, if you are the Primetime Players, you are the anti-tag team champions because you win every match that is not a title match.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know why?
Because Daddy Award.
No, I thought it was because they're, because they are millions of dollars, baby. Millions of dollars. Come on. Because Primetime Players, I always like them because they have just great chemistry with each other. Both Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, to me, those two should have gotten the belt.
They should have gotten them earlier, but the only reason they got him now was because of Titus O'Neil winning that award. The New Day, don't get me wrong, I hated them at first, but they were finally starting to get into their stride, and finally, starting to get over and be entertaining.
Yep, and I think they should have dropped the belts, but also I think Kofi should have won Money in the Bank. And then you would have had this whole thing, Kofi and New Day could have just been the same thing. Like, you have, they could just say, oh, we're the Money in the Bank winners, we're going to be WWE champions and such. And heck, you could have Kofi Kingston versus Brock Lesnar make more sense when they have that huge Beast in the East thing that's going to be at WWE Network at 5:30 in the morning. Ugh. Instead of, we have Kofi Kingston taking on Brock Lesnar for no reason. Seeing why we have Sheamus again being in the main event for no reason.
Okay then.
But yeah,
okay then.
Yeah.
I'm yeah, that's a theory. I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
what?
I'm a big Kofi Kingston.
I see. I don't think I would have put I don't think I would have put Kofi as the Money in the Bank winner. Certainly would have been different, but
well, that's what I think the WWE needs.
To each
instead
their
of the
own.
bland, boring Sheamus.
To each their own.
I'll take, yeah, but I like I said, Kofi. I think it would have been better for the New Day to bit that main event push, personally. But that's just me. But overall, though, the match, it was an okay match. Seeing players and Lucha Dragons, who I think the Lucha Dragons should be the ones. I think, honestly, the New Day should have lost to the Lucha Dragons.
The New Day shouldn't have lost
I think
yet.
that would have been I think at SummerSlam. Yeah, I think they should have lost to the Lucha Dragons around SummerSlam. That should have been the...
Yeah, but we all know NXT teams... NXT tag teams have been used and abused horribly, so... Yeah. Oh, speaking of...
Yeah, but... Hey...
Speaking of used and abused...
Oh, God, Rusev.
Let's talk about cucking. Dolph Ziggler and Lana come out, and they announce that they're officially a couple now. And the more I see of this fucking segment, and the more I see of what they're doing with this feud, the more I am truly convinced that this is only designed to legitimately break up Rusev and Lana, because they're a couple, legitimately. And isn't that something that's like a potential lawsuit if that were legit?
Yeah, but Vince, I think honestly at this point, I think Vince treats WWE as his own personal fan fiction.
God damn it!
That's why I feel. I just...
But...
No, just, yes. Imagine that, boys and girls. Vince McMahon and fanfiction.net. Just see how fun his OPs will be.
God.
OTPs will be.
And then the Mastodon put his giant Mastodon cock inside the small Russian woman.
Oh, goodness. It is, but you know what's the funny thing about this whole feud and segment is that Rusev, they have actually made Rusev, the big scary Russian dude, look more sympathetic and more of a babyface than the actual babyface.
They didn't make him look sympathetic, they made him look pathetic. Like, not even just sympathetic.
Yeah.
Because he looks stupid. They make him look utterly stupid. Like he's a big baby. And it's ridiculous. But anyway, let's talk about the segment itself. So yeah, they announced they're officially a couple. Rusev and Summer Rae come out, because apparently Summer Rae likes Bulgarian sausage. And actually, let's talk about this fucking setup for a second. You have Rusev, who is in the worst possible spot. His girlfriend is now with Dolph Ziggler, and he's getting Dolph Ziggler's sloppy seconds.
Yeah, I think honestly, no, not just Dolph Ziggler. I think he's getting like Fandangos. I think Adam Rose. I mean, I'm not saying
Miz.
Yes, Miz. God, I mean, C's Louise. Rusev.
Yeah.
Man.
Pathetic.
Yeah, you gotta do better.
But anyway, this leads to a catfight between Lana and Summer Rae, because Summer Rae says that she's a gold digger and slaps Lana in the face. And those who are more attuned and paying attention saw some Lana panties.
Oh my.
That is the important part about that segment. Let's move on. Dean Ambrose talks to some Terminators. Because he's crazy! Yuck, yuck!
Maybe he can ask him for a time machine so he can go back to when he's actually winning matches or becoming more important to the show instead of becoming just this latest incarnation of the just ultimate loser who just can't get a win to save his life.
Well, despite Dean Ambrose talking to some lifeless Terminators, an even more lifeless Roman Reigns comes in and talks to him.
Yeah.
Says that, asks Ambrose if he's ready, and Dean says he's been born ready, and that, you know, he likes Roman Reigns when he's angry. Roman Reigns says he hates everybody except for Dean. Vince McMahon on fanfiction.net again. So Roman Reigns sticks his mastodon cock in the lunatic fringe's fringe.
And it's been framed by 5,000 people.
All of them from Tumblr.
Oh, goodness.
No, seriously, to deviate a little bit, have you seen the crazy Roman Reigns fangirls on Tumblr?
I try to stay away from Tumblr just to keep my sanity.
It gets borderline creepy. Like, there were people, when Roman Reigns got married, there were people the fangirls posting pictures screaming, "Oh, she ain't good enough for him, it should have been me." Shit like that.
Jesus.
These are like 15-year-old girls.
Like I say, I stay away from. I'm like, oh, thank goodness I didn't have something like Tumblr or anything else when I was with you. All I had was we had a live journal, and we didn't do anything like this crap.
I have a Tumblr account, and I never use it.
I have a Tumblr account as well. I follow a couple of specific people and try to stay out of the general culture.
The Superplex Brothers Tumblr discussion. But anyway, next we have Neville versus Sheamus. Neville loses.
I was going
to say wins.
No. You forgot all of his nicknames, Dave. You have to give...
Oh, yeah, that's right. The man that Gravity forgot, the new sensation, the Jumpin' Geordie, Dusty Bones full of green dust, Poopy Head, British guy,
Hobbit,
Mighty Mouse, Rosebud. I don't know. People out there in Superplex Brothers land, if you're listening to this right now, make up some names for Adrian Neville. Make a huge list of names that we can add to Adrian Neville's name.
The nickname pile.
We will read it off the next time we talk about Adrian Neville.
Adrian Mike Ross Neville.
Oh god, we should come up with a new nickname every time he fucking gets announced.
Yes.
Adrian, not black Neville.
Adrian,
white privilege Neville.
Adrian, check your privilege, Neville.
Adrian, transracial Neville.
It just
Adrian
keeps coming.
Neville.
Actually, no, he's not even Adrian anymore. It's just Neville now. He lost his first name and gained all these other fucking names in the process.
Well, it's the exchange rate. You lose your first name, you get like 10,000 nicknames. And that's how it used to work, I think.
The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Neville. Hulkamania Neville. Anyway, let's move on. We see J&J Security polishing their car. Let's move on. And in the nomination for the saddest match of the night, Jack Swagger versus King Barrett.
Remember when these two were actually meaningful and actually, people thought they were going to be next thing? I mean, Jack Swagger was a former world heavyweight champion. And Barrett was the leader of Nexus. Now look at him.
Now look at them.
Started from the bottom, now they're here.
Anyway, started from the bottom and now they're even lower. Oh God. Anyway, King Barrett wins. Finally, our main event, Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins and Kane in a no DQ match. Seth Rollins and Kane win. After the
surprise.
After the match, there's a beatdown. Roman Reigns tries to clear house, but then, of course, Bray Wyatt comes out and beats the piss out of him, and that ends the show. Honestly, let's talk about this Raw, overall. This was not a bad Raw. This was not a good Raw. This was just there.
A filler.
Very much honestly, in the sense of the word. Filler.
And this is the reason why I basically just zone out for Raw. I keep it behind the TV. I'm just like a background noise for the most part. And it just, you know what it is to me, why it is this whole blandness and boring is that, they're trying so hard for the old school NWA heels win everything until the hero comes and rides, which sadly, that's not the best way to get business anymore. There's no real, faces stand tall and actually, have good guys stand tall. It's just the authority is always there. The authority is always there and always wins because they just need to, keep the heel strong and everything. Or they need to keep Roman strong.
Actually, I would even say it has less to do with that and more to do with the pay-per-view model. When you have too many events at once, every show is leading up to that event, so you gotta build towards that event, and then you have shows like this where it's just nothing. And, yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna give this Raw a mid-card rating. It was there. It was just there. You had a good match in Cena and Cesaro. You had Seth Rollins being entertaining. And other than Ryback, Big Show, and Miz segments, I can't really think of anything that was outright bad. It just was good, but it wasn't bad. So, yeah.
I actually would give it a lower card rating, because it's just not only Seth Rollins and Kane standing up today, but the way they're treating Rusev and the whole, Miz situation. It's just really, the whole Ryback Miz Big Show stuff is just, and the Divas too. They always drag it down. The nice match between Cena and Cesaro. But, even in that ended in DQ. But overall, it's just, Raw needs to be better. That's what I have to say. It needs to be better. And it can deliver. That's just the frustrating thing. They have all the pieces there. They have the talent. But they just don't know how to use it.
Alright. That's a good way to move on. Now it's time to move on to Lucha Underground. You watch this show?
I watch bits and pieces. I watch the matches on YouTube and Facebook. Haven't watched the full show. And I see some promos, which they go out there. So I know what to expect from Lucha Underground, but I haven't watched a full 100% show yet.
Unfortunately, this is not the show to get into. Lucha Underground has set a bar real high that they've been consistently a great show, to the point where I would say a Lucha Underground rating is on a different standard than a normal wrestling rating. So, when I talk about this show, I'm going to complain a lot, but I need to clarify, this show was still better than Raw. And a mediocre and a show that I would review as mediocre normally would be considered bad by Lucha Underground standards. Just to clarify. So let's talk about Lucha Underground. We start off with Dario Cueto in his office when all of a sudden Chavo Guerrero walks in. And...
oh, goodness. I'm sorry. Chavo Guerrero, I just get a little bit of a bubbling sensation in my stomach, just about to just hurl. Because every time I see Chavo Guerrero, the last time I saw him...
well, let me just say this. So. Chavo Guerrero, for the most part, has been booked wonderfully in Lucha Underground. It's really been some of his best work. He was actually, for a while, the top heel, and was just absolutely heartless, and it was awesome. He beat the shit out of a woman with a steel chair, and it was great. But, yeah.
Now I gotta watch the whole thing.
Social justice warriors are suddenly at the door. You like watching violence against women? But all kidding aside, so let's give a little backstory as to why Chavo is associating with Cueto. In a previous episode of Lucha Underground, Chavo Guerrero came back because he was originally on the run because in Mexico there was essentially a bounty on his head. Because the underground cartels of Mexico wanted him dead for fucking with Blue Demon Jr. Yeah, Lucha Underground don't fuck around. Like, people die on Lucha Underground. Yeah, I don't... you probably didn't see that, but somebody actually was killed on Lucha Underground.
Yeah, this is like, it's more
a
of
drama.
a dramatic story, which, I actually, dig a little, because... it's drama with wrestling, with matches, which I can totally dig it.
It doesn't take place in the real world the same way that WWE expects you to believe it takes place in. It knows it's a television show, and it treats it like a television show. You're watching Lucha Underground the same way you watch a show on television like Game of Thrones.
Like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, or stuff like that.
Yeah. So anyway, Chavo was on the run, and he came back and said he was going to help a woman named Black Lotus get her revenge on Dario Cueto's brother, who killed her parents. And, of course, Chavo, being a Guerrero, lying and cheating, he was a double agent, and actually is helping Dario Cueto eliminate her. And he basically did just that. He lured her into a trap and helped Dario kidnap her, and now he's got her locked up. Because again, Lucha Underground can get away with this kind of thing because it's not an actual, quote-unquote, real-life promotion. So, anyway, now Chavo is saying he wants his final request fulfilled by Dario Cueto. First request was to have some kind of backup, to help him on Lucha Underground. The second was to basically make sure he's secure against the Mexican drug cartels or whatever that are out for his head. And Dario said he would do that. And the final request is Chavo wants a title match against Prince Puma to take his Lucha Underground title. And Dario says, not only will I give you that match, it will be a no disqualification match. Chavo says, okay, well what about Conan, who is in Prince Puma's corner? Okay, we'll do you one better. It'll be a no disqualification match unless Conan gets involved. Then Prince Puma will be disqualified and he will have to relinquish the title. So this is serious odds stacked against Puma. And so Chavo basically is like, okay, I'm down with that. And then we move on to our first match. Tejano Jr. versus Daivari. Yeah, Daivari, obviously from formerly of WWE, he was also known as Sheikh Abdul Bashir in TNA, is in this company, and he has a hired gun in Big Rick, formerly known as Ezekiel Jackson.
Yes. This here is what you call domination.
Yes, it's a combination of skill and concentration. We know the song. But, anyway, what happened was, I guess I'll explain this debut, because in Lucha Underground I have to explain all this shit. In the finals of the Trios Tag Team Tournament, Tejano was on a team with King Cuerno and Cage. And Tejano was knocked into Daivari, who was sitting in the crowd. And Daivari basically got up and beat the shit out of Tejano. And that started their feud. But in the strange twist, Tejano at the time was a heel, and when Daivari was beating the shit out of Tejano at that match, he was being cheered as a face, but then Daivari is introduced, and he's a heel, and Tejano's now a face. I don't know what the hell is going on, but
as you do.
It happened. So anyway, of course, Big Rick, being a hired gun, tries to interfere, but eats a super kick from Tejano. Tejano then takes advantage of the situation and hits a sit-out powerbomb against Daivari to win the match. And that kind of ended their feud. So, yeah. Puma is backstage with Konnan, and Konnan says it doesn't matter if the deck is stacked against them, and that Puma has this match. All of a sudden, the lights go out and flicker, and Katrina shows up. Now, I know you don't know who Katrina is. You might remember her as Maxine in WWE.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. I know. Yeah, I know. I remember.
Whew, man, the pitter-patter of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, she looks a lot better now. But, if you don't know, Maxine, or now Katrina, as she's called, we don't know exactly what her actual backstory is, but in the context of what we do know, she might be like a necromancer sorceress. Yeah. It's Lucha Underground. All kinds of crazy shit happens. Necromancers. But anyway, she is managing a guy named Mil Muertes, who is the man of 1,000 deaths. He is ultimately the embodiment of death. And a fan theory is that Katrina might actually be the Grim Reaper herself. And that Mil Muertes is her scythe.
So I guess Thanos is going to try to get her then, which, you know.
Yeah. Not that I blame him. But, anyway. And, Mil Muertes beat a man named Phoenix, who was known as the Man of 1,000 Lives. You know, based on the Phoenix, myth. But anyway.
Yeah.
So Katrina shows up and says if Puma survives tonight, then at Ultima Lucha, which is the big event that's coming up in August, Mil Muertes will destroy him and get the title. Muertes shows up out of nowhere and faces Puma. The lights go out and he disappears. This was an awesome segment, and what was especially awesome about it was Konnan's reaction. He just sat there stone-faced. Like, none of this mattered. And he was like, you know what? That's just mind games. Don't be worried by it.
Yeah, he's been there before.
Don't be worried by it.
I mean, he's like, this is nothing, man. He's seen the Dungeon of Doom. He knows the deal.
Yeah. But anyway, Konnan then talks to a mysterious person and says he's going to give them a chance to deal with Chavo Guerrero's debt. So, Konnan apparently has some kind of connection with the cartels. Not a surprise. Next, we have Hernandez versus Drago. Now, of course, Hernandez from TNA, who just returned to TNA.
Oh, boy.
And anyway, I guess I'll explain this to you, Charlie. I already explained, well, this is basically deals with events from last week. Drago had a...
Well, I saw the show last week. Not the show, but y'all's...
so you know what happened.
Podcast.
Okay, so this is basically the match where Drago gets his revenge. Or has a chance to get his revenge, I should say. And Hernandez basically grabs a fan from the audience, an obvious plant. It wasn't it wasn't just an actual dude that didn't know what was going to happen beforehand. But Hernandez grabs this guy, rips his belt off, and starts beating Drago with it. But the ref doesn't call for a DQ until he starts choking him out with the belt. And then it's suddenly a DQ. I gotta talk about Hernandez for a second. I'm starting to not like him. I've always said that Hernandez was a good worker for his size. But there are the little things he does that annoy the shit out of me. His mannerisms, when he does that stupid walk with his shoulders. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes. He does the Sailor walking style.
Like a strut.
And just like, think all this. Yeah, that little strut. That just, it does get like that, that swagger. I'm like, dude, you haven't won, all you've won is tag belts. You haven't won a world title. Stop that
Here's
swagger.
the thing, though. He does it every time he does a fucking move. And every time he does a fucking move, he does that stupid strut.
Like, yes, I'm a wrestler. I can do things.
Don't get me wrong. Hernandez has a basic core down of, being a solid talent, but it's the little things he does that are just so goddamn annoying and make me not want to watch him. Yeah. And another thing I have to complain about, the referee situation in Lucha Underground. It was said in the very first episode that disqualifications are at the discretion of the ref. And I'm starting to hate that, because now it seems like just basically a loophole or a cop-out whenever the ref wants to make shitty calls. Hernandez beats Drago with a belt in front of the ref, and the ref doesn't call for a DQ. And then Hernandez gets in the ring and starts choking Drago out with the belt, and then the ref decides to call a DQ.
I think they're taking lessons from what? I think Lucha Underground's referees are trying to outdumb the TNA referees.
And, I get that it's, a seedy underground organization and referees might not be the most honorable, but at the same time, it's like, come on,
Yeah, I understand.
Anyway,
man.
Yep.
Just gotta get better.
So anyway, after the match, Hernandez grabs a mic and says that the dumb fans don't realize that dragons aren't real, because in Lucha Underground, Drago's gimmick is that he's actually a dragon. And it works. But he's basically an actual dragon who just takes the form of a human.
Oh, so he's like Raiden, basically, right? Just, he's a thunder god, but this...
Oh, God. Why are other kin getting...
Yeah, but unlike Otherkin, this is actually cool. And it's not Otherkin because it's not just a psychotic human being who thinks he's a dragon. He's actually a dragon. There's actually a scene... There's a scene in the episode... Because what happened with Drago was he was kicked out of the temple after he lost a match to Prince Puma. And you see a shadow of a giant dragon breathing fire as Drago leaves. So we know for a fact, in the actual mythos of Lucha Underground, he is a dragon.
Why can't this show be more? Why isn't this show just
It's fucking awesome.
Views? It should.
That's like they have no problem adding supernatural elements to this shit, and it works. I mean, Christ, they have 7 Aztec medallions that if you put them together can cause the person to become immortal. Anyway.
Yes. Joke.
Actually, our original joke was Dragon Ball Z. But, anyway, after Hernandez's promo, Chavo is backstage, and suddenly Katrina shows up, and she says that if Chavo wins, his celebration will be short, because Muertes will destroy him. And Chavo says, well then, he'll see them at Ultima Lucha. Mil Muertes shows up again and roars. Yeah. Next, we have Marty the Moth Martinez versus Alberto El Patron. And Marty the Moth, I can't fucking stand him. He does not look like a wrestler. He has no business being there. He was the guy who was on the previous season of Tough Enough who got injured and had to be removed from the competition.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, I don't watch Tough Enough, but yeah, I remember him. I saw a bit, Is he basically like Grado from TNA? Because, annoying, tries to wrestle, but yet he can't. But he says, oh goodness, he just tries
His
so
in-ring
hard.
stuff is okay. He has the basics down. I just don't like him. I don't...
But luckily he was taken down by Alberto El Patreon.
New gimmick, Alberto El Patreon. Yes! Yes, I want this fucking gimmick.
Yeah, every time he finishes the move, he gets you have to give $2 to see every you want to see more?
$5 a month for a German suplex. Yes. New fucking gimmick. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Alberto disposes of him quickly with a cross arm breaker. After the match, Alberto grabs a microphone and says that El Patron is in the house. He then says that he's basically going to kill Johnny Mundo at Ultima Lucha. Finally, we have our main event. Chavo Guerrero versus Prince Puma. A no disqualification unless Conan gets involved match for the Lucha Underground title. And this match was a clusterfuck. The crew interferes, but suddenly Tejano comes back. And apparently that was the guy that Conan was talking to. And he evens the odds and helps Puma out. And Puma hits the 630 splash to get the win. Very clusterfucky. Actually kind of a shitty main event. Not gonna lie. After the match, Tejano says Mexico is not only coming for him, but it's already there in the form of Tejano, who was billed from California.
Wait. Oh, yeah, I can understand California and Mexico. They just look so similar, though, right?
Anyway, so after everything's over, Chavo Guerrero is in the backstage, you know, holding himself and his injuries after the loss. Blue Demon Jr. shows up, and Chavo is like prepared to fight him, you know. And Blue Demon Jr. says, "I'm not like you. I actually have honor. I'm not going to beat up a man who's hurt." And Chavo says, "Well, the fans cheered for Tejano quite a bit, and he said they cheered for him a lot more than they cheered for Blue Demon Jr." Says maybe Tejano really is Mexico. Blue Demon Jr. grabs Chavo Guerrero by the throat and holds him up to a locker and screams that he is Mexico. And then he walks away as Chavo smiles. So it looks like they're hinting at Blue Demon Jr. turning heel.
Slowly turning into the dark side.
Anyway, let's talk about Lucha Underground as a whole here. This was a mediocre show in terms of actual wrestling. Like, in terms of, like, overall every other wrestling show. This was a mediocre show, but by Lucha Underground standards, this show sucked. And I'm gonna give it a mid-card rating on the normal wrestling standards, but if we were judging this only by Lucha Underground standards, this would have gotten a jobber rating.
Interesting, but this seems like, you might say it gets a jobber rating and everything else, but honestly, this seems like a show that, would probably get more people in because it's so out there.
Don't get me wrong.
Loud.
It was definitely the best show this week. I'm just saying this particular episode was terrible by the standard that Lucha Underground has set.
Yeah, again, but,
just how good Lucha Underground actually is.
Hey. Yeah, when I see it Underground, I see it, it's like, it's not ashamed of what it is, which is, but if you want to go to a tangent, that's what problem wrestling is. It's just, people just...
The problem with this episode
this is actually fun.
They've already announced Ultima Lucha, so now they're working towards building that up. And the episodes themselves, I mean, even last week's episode was not as good as Lucha Underground has been. And it seems like this is demonstrable evidence that the pay-per-view model hurts the overall quality of the regular weekly show. Because now they have to put more emphasis on building towards that show rather than just making every episode seem important. You get what I mean?
Well, I get that, but that's the cause of wrestling since pay-per-views and television shows started. It's way back in the 90s.
But my point being is that the pay-per-view model hurts the regular weekly show, and this is evidence of that. We've been saying on the show that NXT has started to hurt in quality because they've adopted the pay-per-view model on a quarterly basis. Lucha Underground has only announced one pay-per-view so far, and I hope it's the only one. If they're going to have a special show, it needs to be once a year. Like the season finale.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
These past couple of episodes have generally been poor in quality. But that said, Lucha Underground is still a good show. I don't think it's time to abandon ship yet and be like, oh, this company now sucks. Not at all. this episode in particular just happened to be not good by comparison to what standard it has set for itself. Yeah.
It's like Pixar. You know, they set so high of a standard, you know, when they fall off and stuff, the movies are not terrible, but, you know, you're like,
yeah,
you could do better.
So, anyway, that's it for the wrestling shows. I didn't watch NXT this week, so I can't talk about NXT. I chose to do something else, which I will explain later on in the show when we talk about video games. But before we end video games, I just want to quickly go over a bit of news. As some of you may have known, if you watch TNA wrestling, a lot of TNA talent have officially left, or they let their contracts expire, one of which was Bobby Roode. And Bobby Roode has officially announced that he is now going to be a part of Global Force Wrestling. So, that's a thing.
Oh, goodness. You know what I think about this? It's just it's a cluster F about TNA and Global Force Wrestling. I want to see that one day they, if it's just going to be, TNA to be absorbed to Global Force Wrestling, so Global Force can actually have, you know, something to really have a TV show at Destination America. I think that should be the plan, but I just think it's just going to overall just going to lead both companies poor. TNA right now, in a pro wrestling sense, is a toxic name. It is toxic. It is anybody that shows up there, their value goes down lesser and lesser. Heck, when AJ Styles, the guy who basically founded TNA, left for New Japan,
I don't know if you know this,
biggest stars there.
But in a recent interview, one of the writers of PWI actually said TNA's world title is no longer considered valuable on their shit. So,
yeah, on the newspaper. So I'm like, at this point, can we just throw out I'm at this point, you know, Dave, we talked over, like, you know, I still try to watch TNA and everything else, but I'm at this point that I just want the thing. I don't want it to. Part of me wants it to die, but I just want it just to go away. Just because they failed
long
so
overdue.
many times.
And a lot of people. And the thing about TNA,
yeah,
and a lot of people will say, "Oh, what about those poor wrestlers?" I'm not worried about them. You want to know why? They're gonna get jobs. They are guaranteed jobs for life. Because don't get me wrong, TNA has done a lot to sully its name. But it was still the number 2 promotion in the United States for a long period of time. And those guys are going to make a lot of money on the independent circuit, or go to New Japan, or go to NXT, you know? So they have a career in the future, or Lucha Underground, because I think they are going to have a season 2. But, so there's places for them to go work. And they'll have places to work. The camera crew, maybe not as much, you know, the production crew. They'll probably find work, but it's going to be a lot harder. But I will say this.
Oh, gosh.
I have no sympathy for Dixie Carter.
Oh, I honestly...
None. She needs to be exiled from the wrestling business forever.
Oh,
Forever.
Amen. She has screwed up... She has basically... made that company, Total Nonstop Action, to this living and utter joke. You know, they had so many chances to make...
Not even just from a booking standpoint, though. From how she runs the business. Some of the things that she has done is outright deplorable. Like the whole issue with, I think his name was
Jesse Sorensen?
Sorensen, yes. He broke his neck on the show. She promised him a job with them for life, to help pay for his medical bills. Not only did she back off on that and not help him with his medical bills, his mother went into bankruptcy because of that.
Yeah. Where was that money going, Dixie? Why couldn't you actually, you know, pay that thing off? Write that off.
And
no one would have been,
And then she had the nerve to fire him to pay off Hogan's shit, and she fired him at the opportune time where he could no longer file a lawsuit against them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's really is scummy. And you could go you can go after Vince McMahon for a lot of things, and trust me, you know, there's a lot of things you can judge on McMahon. But if that would happen on McMahon's watch, Dude would have got, if he would have Vince would have don't worry about it. He would have covered it. And, probably would have found something for him to do. I mean, you look at the whole Corey Graves situation. They found something for him to do. And actually become,
McMahon does a lot of bad shit. And he'll, he has his own problems when it comes to shady business decisions. But when it comes to the actual health and dealing with injuries with his talent, he will go above and beyond to make sure that they are covered.
Yeah, that's it. That's the truth right there.
They may not be insured medically, but most of them are paid enough that they can either cover it themselves, or they'll offer to cover them for things like, for example, rehabilitation and stuff like that.
Yeah. And Dixie Carter I lay this on and everything on all the problems and the late payments. If you heard about this thing about the production?
Oh yeah,
TNA, that they have the
that's
late
why Taz left.
Onto the production.
That's why Taz left.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't pay him on time, which I'm just like, if you're not going to pay the production crew, the people that make your show watchable, make your show
they air the show. I won't say it makes them watchable.
Well, yeah, but to treat them like crap, I'm just, why couldn't they just walked out? Just left to say, you know what, screw this, until we're getting paid.
They actually, I think they did do that for a while.
Yeah. I think that's the reason why you had, those dumbass drawings that Sam Shaw did for Impact, like for matches and stuff. Like, what the heck? I'm like, it's like, who drew this? I'm like, oh Lord. And by the way, he's gone from the company too. Him.
Well, to be fair, I'm surprised Low Ki hasn't left sooner, because if all reports are true, Low Ki is one of the most insufferable pricks to work with in all of wrestling. So.
Well, honestly, he said he was real behaved. He was real behaved when he was in WWE and everything else. And I think, he's calmed down as much. So I would love to see him come back to WWE and NXT, because there's some matches I would like to see him, like him versus, Finn Balor or Samoa Joe again. Just to see that, because a motivated Joe versus Low Ki, I think will be a great match.
Probably. But anyway, the whole point is not to talk about how shitty TNA is. Good luck to Bobby Roode, in Global Force Wrestling. Good luck to Global Force Wrestling. Yeah. So anyway, I think that covers it for wrestling this week. We will take a short break, but when we come back, video games.
Hello, this is Shane Killian, and you're listening to the Superplex Brothers. When you're done, why not hop over to Bogosity.tv and listen to the Bogosity podcast, where we discuss myths, lies, idiocy, non-science, and nonsense. The stupid things people say and do in any subject. Medicine, religion, astronomy, economics, and even politics. We don't hold back on any subject. And you just might hear some familiar voices, too. You can also join our online forum and participate in discussions about whatever subject you like. It's all at Bogosity.tv.
American Dream.
This is Dusty Rhodes coming to tell you, you gotta go and check out the Superplex Brothers, baby. It's funky like a monkey. You gotta go and you gotta see the forum. You gotta go and check the Facebook page, baby. You gotta go, you gotta hear all this great news about the wrestling and the video games. All them video games with the kapows and the pressing of the A button and the kicking. And all that fancy God goodness, baby. You gotta go and you gotta check it out. Tell them that Dusty Rhodes sent you. It's time for some fucking video games! So, we are back with video games, and we actually have a new guest with us. Please, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's Katie. I'm from the Gamerscore Horrors podcast. We are slightly favourable towards the Xbox One, but we own all of the consoles itself. And Dave, who's a part of this podcast, it's not the first time we've met, is it, at all? In terms of gaming stuff.
God, no. It's been almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
That we've known each other. Actually, you gave me my first big break as a writer. When we did We Do Tech.
God, that's some memories right there.
Oh God, that was good times.
And the whole gaming press thing has changed massively from back then. I mean, you don't get physical code anymore. Everything's all digital. And
yeah,
you got to sleep your way up into the business these days, by the looks of things.
Well, then I'll never get anywhere. Anyway, let's get into some actual news. The biggest story, which is really not all that big, but you remember the arcade game Rampage?
Yeah.
Any of you guys?
Yeah, I used
well,
to play that back in the days in the arcades when there used to be big ones and such.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it's getting a movie adaptation, and The Rock is going to be the star in it. Who the hell knows what he's going to be doing in it? Is he going to be the gorilla? I don't know.
Oh, shit. You didn't.
I thought he'd be the wolf if he's going to be one of the monsters.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that as a joke. I'm saying, like, is he going to be one of the monsters? Is he going to be a human hero?
I would not be surprised he's going to be the human hero or something.
Because remember, the story of Rampage is that humans mutate into these giant monsters. So,
I mean, this guy is making a lot of money. San Andreas made, actually made quite a bit of money, and it's not that bad of a movie. And let's see what else made. The Fast and Furious series, which I heard is going to get another one, and they're already shooting for that. And they might be doing something with one of the characters he's playing as a side movie or something. And he's supposedly going to be doing a movie. Basically being Black Adam in Shazam movie for DC. So yeah, I think he's doing pretty busy. Plus, he has this Ballers thing on HBO, which I heard is actually pretty good.
Yeah, he's busy. You know what's funny? I know it makes a lot of sense that Rampage gets a movie adaptation because the whole game is based on monster movies, or at least takes a lot of inspiration from monster movies. But at the same time, it's also one of those games that I never thought would actually get one, especially in 2015 when the games haven't been relevant since at least the late 90s.
I think there was actually another 3D version of Rampage. I think there was.
There was, but it was nowhere near as popular as World Tour or even Universal Tour.
Or the original.
Yeah, so yeah, I remember playing that, but no one actually, it's odd that there's going to be another, there's going to be one after all this time. It just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, it just seems kind of weird to me, and it would be like if all of a sudden we found out that Vin Diesel's going to star in a new movie adaptation of Berserk for the Atari.
Yeah, well, I mean,
nobody would ever think of it.
Who's directing it? Michael Bay?
Yeah.
Yeah, here's hope. Here's hoping is, it's going to be good, and maybe this will finally be the great video game that games like
movie.
Great game movie that people will finally say yes, they finally arrived, but I doubt it. Oh, it's
not going to happen.
No,
it's not going to happen.
It's Rampage Total Destruction. It was actually on Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, like I said though, nobody liked it because it wasn't World Tour. So, anyway, moving on. The next big thing, and this was only a big thing if you're a fan of the game, but Terraria just got its newest update, 1.3, which introduced some new material. Had a slight graphical update too. The sprites are noticeably changed. But yeah, Terraria just got an update, 1.3, and we're going to talk about it for a minute. So, for those of you who do play Terraria, which, Duke, do you play it at all?
No, I saw a couple reviews. It looks interesting, but I'm not really into that type of game and everything else. It seems a lot of people are, but I just, I'll probably check it out maybe when it's on sale on Steam or something.
That's fair. Okay, and Katie, you said you've only played about 15 minutes of it, right?
Yeah, just to get quick achievement points. As sad as that is.
Which is funny because one of the new things that they added to the PC version is achievements. Now there are actual achievements you can get. And what's actually kind of convenient is if you've already had a saved game on there, once you log in, a lot of the achievements just show up. Just automatically obtained.
It's all there.
So, that's nice. Obviously not all of them, if some of them are beat boss so-and-so, you gotta do that over. But otherwise, a lot of them are already obtained, which is convenient. It's nice. Some of the new things they included was a new biome, which is a cave full of granite, which is actually a new material you can mine in the game. I don't know what it does. I've never really interacted with it, but it's neat. And now you could also find mine tracks already set up, which is pretty cool. Let them take you to wherever. Austin, you've played a little bit of it. What do you think of the new update?
I haven't actually gotten enough. I opened it up, created a new world. It seems like the small biome, they must have changed the Sky Islands. I managed to find a Sky Island that was actually really close to the ground. I was able to just use my wings to get up there, no grappling hook or anything. But honestly, I've quite put in enough. That much time. But it has potential. I do like the that they put a equip slot in for grappling hooks, and now you have mounts and minions and stuff like that.
Alrighty. So that means I'm the only one who's really played it extensively here. That's fine. I still haven't experienced everything yet. I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far. I look forward to exploring more. We actually just started another multiplayer server on the Steam version, and we're building a city, and that's pretty cool. So, yeah. If you haven't played Terraria, I definitely recommend checking it out. It is available on Steam. It's also available on Xbox. Is it available on Xbox One?
It is, yes.
Take a look. It is on Xbox
Okay,
One.
it is on Xbox One. It's also on PS4, PS3, and PS Vita. And actually, the PS version has crossplay. So
it's also on the PC. It's also on the PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox Live Arcade, Windows Phone.
I said that already.
Oh,
I said all of that already.
Yeah, it's also on the 3DS and the Wii U, and also on the Kindle Fire.
Oh, good to know. So yeah, that's Terraria. And Austin, you were talking about a new update as well for another game.
Yeah, it looks like Team Fortress 2 Valve announced that Team Fortress 2 is getting another update today called the Gun Metal, as in Test Your Metal update. Basically, you'll pay $6 and get a bunch of tasks, a bunch of skill-based tasks. You can do stuff like get a kill with a reflected projectile as a pyro, survive 1,000 damage in a single life as heavy, kill an airborne enemy with your secondary as a soldier. Completing these tasks, you'll either get skinned weapons that they say they're unique. I'd like to see it. I really hope it is. All sorts of various skins for them, different wear amounts, different patterns. Sometimes they'll get cases, and for anybody who's familiar with Valve, you know that the cases, you gotta spend like another $2 to get a key for the case, and it usually has something that's a little more exclusive. And there are more details to come, but they don't have the part for... Oh, yes, they do. They also have...
Do you buy into all that bollocks?
I
have to ask, because I can't... It drives me nuts when developers and publishers do this shit.
I paid for some of the stuff, but I wouldn't say I dropped more. I think $100 over the span of like... Oh, how long has it been? 5 years? 6 years?
This is why
on a free game?
It's not that often. They've also got new maps.
This is why I wait to like the big updates and such, then I go and buy the stuff. Then again, I haven't played Team Fortress 2 since I had the, what was that, the orange box?
It's fun if you have
right back in 2007.
Well, I don't think there's ever going to be a Team Fortress 2 Game of the Year edition, is there?
Exactly. It was very...
Yeah,
that was so long ago.
There's also a bunch of balancing stuff, but I'm not gonna get into that. That's something you can look up. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. Balance updates as well, but like you can find those on your own if you want.
All right. So that's really it for the news. I guess now we just talk about what we've been playing. And, Katie, why don't you go first?
Okay, so I've been playing a number of Xbox One games over the last week or so. One's been Spark and Unleashed, which, for those that don't know what that game is about, it's one of those games similar to Zuma Revenge and Luxor. It's just addictive. It's kind of a little bit like crack. Just not shameful crack like Candy Crush, so it's actually a good game to get addicted to. I think it's sitting around really cheap on the store. It's made by 10 Tons Limited. Really highly recommended. Next up was the Borderlands, the Tales of Borderlands Episode 3, which released I think it was about 2 or 3 days ago now. The Telltale games, you can always, you've got your main 40-50 hour campaign RPG game, or your 10 to 20 hour main campaign game, and these are just great titles just to take yourself away from those big long campaigns, and you can just sit and play the Telltale games episodes around about 2-3 hours a pop. And for those that love the Borderlands universe, they're really going to love what Telltale games have done with Borderlands. They kind of filled in the cracks with what is obviously a very limited storyline that you get with the Borderlands games, so it really populates that universe and makes it really interesting. Pandora is one of those worlds where there's so much lore that can be added to it, and in Tales of the Borderlands you can play as one of the employees of the Hyperion Corporation, so it's really interesting stuff. Really recommend it, and if anyone has been thinking about picking up the Telltale Games bundle, I think it's around about, or at least in British money, it's about £36, but it gives you all of the Tales of the Borderlands games, all of the Game of Thrones, all of the Walking Deads, and even The Wolf Among Us, and that's just hours upon hours of content for what is a very, very cheap price, so that's been really cool. I picked up Little Big Planet 3 the other day. It was too hot. We had a heat wave here yesterday. I think we had the highest temperatures recorded in this country for July on record since records had ever begun. So I was about 15 minutes in, and it was just not comfortable to play video games. So kind of had to put that one to the side. Playing mostly Xbox One games. But there's one thing I've got to say to the listeners out there, and that is, where do you stick your money in August for video games that are coming out? You need to stick your money on the Rare Replay bundle. That's 30 games from the Rare collection, including all the Banjo-Kazooie games, the amazingly underrated Blast Corps. Get your pre-orders now. You've got to pick that game up. Comes out August 4th, and it's only £20 in this money. I don't know what that is in US dollars. I think it's more than 32 to 35 bucks. About 40, is it?
I thought it was 30.
But that's still ridiculously cheap for an amazing bundle.
Honestly,
I'm not too sure what the conversion rate is, but
I've been meaning to get into the Banjo-Kazooie games. I've heard such great things about them, but I never found the time.
It's a collectible.
I don't have an Xbox One. So I won't be able to get this. But I definitely do have interest in checking those games out in some form or another.
You should do it, man. I mean, a load of people do not know anything about Blast Corps. And if anything, it was a game made by Rare that was better than Perfect Dark, better than Battletoads, better than some of their other classics in the compendium. And for those that don't know what Blast Corps is all about, you've basically got a number of different destructive vehicles, ranging from mech robots to bulldozers, and you've got this basically a nuke on a truck, and it isn't going to move out of the way of any buildings, so you've basically got to smash all these buildings down before where the truck ends up sort of stopping. And there's a ton of strategy in that game, and there's been absolutely nothing out there like that game that's ever been created. So it's still a unique experience today, and I'm so glad they're bringing it back, because Nintendo ain't sure as hell bringing anything back. They've really pissed me off over the last 12 months with what they've done. If it wasn't for Splatoon, I would have chucked my Wii U in the fucking bin by now. And if anything, I know we're obviously talking about what's going on with what we've been playing recently, but I am keen to get opinions from the rest of you guys about what do you think of the state of Nintendo at the moment in terms of not handheld but as a console. The fact that there's rumours now that their new machine's going to come out in July 2016 based on Foxconn in China getting apparently a permit to start creating sort of dev kits for this new piece of hardware for the elusive NX console. What do you think the shape of Nintendo is at the moment? Have you been playing a lot of Nintendo stuff? Have you kind of been disillusioned with Nintendo? Are you happy with Nintendo?
Honestly, I just got my Wii U. I've been pretty enjoyable with Nintendo right now. I mean, I think the NX. To me, the funny thing is about Nintendo is that in all three of the major console producers, they're the only ones actually in the black at the moment. I mean, Microsoft and Sony are, they were profitable for a second, but I heard they were back into the red and such. So, I don't think Nintendo is...
Because I didn't hear that.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Nintendo is in the black because they're still making, they still made a profit on the Wii U. So, if they, I think they sold around probably around 10 million. I think they're comfortable. They are not, worried because they just got, the Wii was a complete, was a monster. So I think they're gonna be like, okay, this is their PS3. It's just, a system that didn't really, sell, as much, and I would not be surprised if they come back with the NX and try to really compete, market it better, what the Wii U sucked at marketing. They really need to get into marketing, market this machine better. And I don't know what they're going to do with the Wii U after this, because they are looking like it's going to do something. Because I just got it. I think it's a really good console. I think it's nice and everything. I love Splatoon and Bayonetta and Smash Brothers and all that good stuff. And I can't wait for Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is going to be great. But I think Nintendo, they're going to get their act together, hopefully soon, because I do not want to have anymore. I don't want another Sega thing, have them pull out or what have you. I don't want that.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Nintendo has done a shit job in terms of marketing the Wii U. As far as their console goes, it's obvious why it's been a fuck up. You said that they have to really market the NX. Well, marketing for Nintendo isn't hard when they give a shit, but they didn't give a shit about the Wii U. And it's fairly obvious. Just look at least the past 2 years of Nintendo Directs. Every major announcement, for the most part, has been for the 3DS. The Wii U, the only time they even had a Direct dedicated to the Wii U was when it was for something like Smash or Mario Kart, but they never had any major announcements for the Wii U back to back. Just look at this past E3. What were all the major announcements? 3DS games, 3DS games, 3DS games, 3DS games, with the only real Wii U games that were announced that we didn't know about already we're finally seeing gameplay footage for Star Fox and Mario Tennis. So, yeah, it's Nintendo's own fault that the Wii U bombed.
Yeah, it did. It bombed because of their own hubris. Because they thought, it's the same trap that Sony fell for after the PS2. They thought they should just walk in and do the same thing. And they
You know what though? You can't even put them in the same category because at least Sony had actual third-party support to hold them up. The Wii U didn't have shit. When the Wii U first came out, what happened? You only had 2 games to hold yourself over for 2 years. For 2 years. You had Pikmin 3 and New Super Mario Bros. U. Then finally, Super Mario 3D World came out. And then you had to wait again for Mario Kart and Smash. And I said this when the Wii U first came out. I said Mario Kart and Smash would be what sets the deal for the Wii U. And those games did not sell as well as Nintendo would have liked. They didn't sell as many consoles for them to catch up with the PS4, and it's a shame because it's Nintendo's own fault. All they had to do was not fuck up. That's all they had to do, and they managed to fuck up.
Do you think that they're too proud? I think their main, if you look at their corporation, the heads of their corporation, it just seems like they just seem to be, a lot of things that I saw from E3 was the fact, I heard it from EA, I heard it from Ubisoft, I heard it from Microsoft, I heard it from Sony, we're taking on your feedback, That seemed to resonate with me with the conference. They always have that in their line somewhere in their conference, and Nintendo, for me, it's almost like they're maybe just stuck in their old ways. And if you look even at the online functionality of that console, granted it's probably catered more at a younger audience, but even their online isn't up to scratch. Like, it's not easy to just, you can't even go in and just create a voice chat or something with someone. It's such a convoluted way, even to play online games. Like, I really enjoy Splatoon, but I would enjoy it 10 times more if I could go into a lobby with someone, have a chat with people and kind
of
a
nice voice chat.
Yeah.
Voice chat is mandatory for games like Splatoon. I mean, it's ridiculous that the only way you can have some kind of proper cohesion is if you happen to know the player on Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just messed up. That's screwed up. And this is one of the reasons why Nintendo is so lacking and behind. It's because of this stuff. They want to innovate, but they don't want to catch up with everyone else.
It feels like they're so concerned about that younger generation, what they might hear, what kind of
language.
Well, another problem too, and this is something that I actually saw somebody else bring up in a video. Alpha Omega Sin, I think, was the one that brought this up, but he said that Nintendo never wants to be told that they're releasing the same thing over and over, so they have to gimmick it the fuck up and make it completely different, and we end up with a mess.
Yeah, and maybe they're finally getting ahead, because now I think Shigeru Miyamoto is not going to be the head designer anymore. I think he's still around Nintendo, but I think when you look at that type of step, I think things will finally, maybe there's going to be new changes coming. I think they might be like, maybe, okay, we're doing a brand new thing, we're going to catch up to the consoles, and, hopefully NX is not going to cost too much, and hopefully there won't be too much next gen, i.e. have patches on the day one.
It needs to have basic current gen stuff. There needs to be functional online. There needs to be voice chat. It has to have these things. There is no excuse as to why, in this day and age, in 2015, why playing a video game doesn't have proper online functionality, including voice chat. There's no excuse for it other than they didn't want to. And Nintendo does feel comfortable being old fuddy-duddies about this, but for the longest time, it worked to their benefit. With the Wii, it worked to their benefit because they could get the retirement home to completely fund them. They could get the rehabilitation clinic to completely fund them. They can't do that now because most of these old people and injured people in the hospitals, they think the Wii U is just an attachment to the Wii.
Yeah, bad marketing. Once again, terrible marketing, and the last gen graphics don't help it. And if they continue on this path, I'm worried that they're gonna be like right where Sega was. You know, they're gonna go a couple more steps here, and the next thing you know, boom, you're in a very bad place. But hopefully, they will finally right the ship after all this stuff. Because if they don't, well, c'est la vie.
Well, I think the love of God, invent a controller that isn't a goddamned iPad, and actually give games that developers can be comfortable making.
Yeah. That's my I want. I want that. Something that's actually easier, and hopefully, they won't be like.
No, I was just going to say that, if you look at where a lot of their install base came from, or at least the new install base for them was the Nintendo Wii, they've also got to, and I hope they really do take this into account, because if they're not, they're idiots. The fact that those people that bought those consoles back when the Wii came out, these people are a lot older now, so they're either going to lose them to, or may have already have lost them to Sony and Microsoft. But they need to think that when they're bringing this new machine out, that their captive market isn't just young people anymore.
Well, that's the thing. But their market was directed towards young people, but the biggest contributor to Wii purchases were actually the elderly and like hospitals, because a lot of those games were a lot of motion control garbage that old people felt like, oh, hey, I'm young again, And
there was some RPGs there too, so.
Yeah, but old people didn't give a shit about RPGs. The only RPGs they care about is if an RPG is a term from Matlock.
but it's a shame. Hopefully
most of the elderly market that Dave's talking about is people who play licensed garbage and just hey, I recognize that. Let's play that. They went more on name recognition than any sort of actual research that a younger person might do when looking to buy.
But the fact is, Shigeru Miyamoto isn't getting grandma's money anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And again, I hope that this is a lesson they will learn, and they will continue to actually be more profitable. That's what I want them to be. Just, somehow they're like, all right, we learned our lesson. We're going to make sure this doesn't happen again.
It's funny to me how Nintendo could kick absolute ass in one market, the portable game market, because right now the 3DS is awesome. I mean, it's right now holding Nintendo up. But at the same time, bombed so completely in another market. And again, it all comes down to they didn't give a shit about the Wii U.
Yeah, that's the thing. They just, again, I think it's just hubris. They say, hey, the Wii, it's like I said, it's just, they had that same hubris again, like after the N64. They like, oh, we're back, baby. It's all good. And then they didn't market. They didn't do anything well, and now they're playing catch up. And this is the real sad part, because Nintendo, when they get their act together, they can actually produce not only first party content, but also, I think actually third parties would go and actually, because hey, if you have a big console, what have you, third parties will show up.
Well,
I guarantee it.
The problem with the Wii U had little to do with how well it sold, and more to do with just the system itself was a bitch to fucking code for. And they made it's actually one of the reasons why the PS3 suffered a lot, was because it was a pain in the ass to make games on it. So when Sony made the PS4, they not only intentionally made it easier to design games, but they also said, hey, we'll work with you to help you, design games for our system. Nintendo don't do that. Nintendo just says, here's our system. If you don't want to make games on it, fuck you.
Yeah.
I mean, they were pushing, like, they have an indie initiative, it's just not as...
They have an indie initiative, but they don't have major third-party initiatives.
Yeah.
And that's where they hurt.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. They had started it, like, I remember when the Wii U first came out, whenever they got the jump on the Xbox One and the PS4, one of the major selling points, one of the big videos about it was like, hey, we've got all these third parties making games for it, this is gonna be awesome, and you're gonna have, like, Batman Arkham City, and fucking... what else?
They actually announced Fist of the North Star Ken's Rage as one of the big releases.
Oh, and I think Ninja Gaiden 3, also Deus Ex Director's Cut. They actually put a lot of that stuff in. They were really going all in, just these remakes, and
they were and enhanced editions and whatnot, and other major third-party titles that were supposed to come to it. And then after, like, the initial wave, after, like, Rayman Legends, they just shriveled up, gone.
Yeah, that was the whole...
I don't know where the hell that went.
Yeah, but it's a sad thing, man. Nintendo deserves... Because honestly, their first-party stuff is great. We can't really deny that.
For the most part.
When they just...
Even when it's
not good. I would say
better.
the up-and-coming Federation Force looks pretty fucking garbage.
I'm the only person that I really know of that's not completely offended by the
Me neither.
Federation Force. I like that.
I think
you know what?
Good.
I don't understand the shitstorm about
if it was its own game, I wouldn't care as much, because then I'd be like, oh, well, whatever. It's the shamelessness. It's the shamelessness of slapping Metroid on it.
I don't know. I gotta take Reggie's, like, Reggie was on Twitter earlier addressing fans, basically, listen, I know you guys are, this seems like a cash-in, but trust me, you're gonna like this. I don't know, maybe I'm a naive fool,
I always like to give one game a shot. You always gotta give this game a shot.
I'm not gonna shit on this game just because, it's got Metroid on its... like Metroid slapped on it, but it's not. It doesn't feature Samus or. I don't know. I can't dismiss it yet. Not.
Yeah, me neither. I'll give it a shot. Give it a shot. Like, give it a chance. If it fails, it fails. If it succeeds, it succeeds. And heck, you have another thing you could do for besides. It's probably going to be just a small little. Thing. It's going to be here and gone, and I guarantee they're going to be working for another Samus Metroid game. Which, by the way, other M, I liked the controls and most of it was fun, but the story, yeesh.
So, I guess now that we've all given our thoughts on Nintendo and how much we hate them, apparently, Katie, have you been playing anything else?
I think I've played a few other titles. Beach Buggy Racing for Xbox One. That's it's like a budget version of Mario Kart, I guess, but it's actually pretty decent, pretty sturdy, made by Vector Unit, the lovely guys that brought us Hydro Thunder Hurricane back when the Xbox 360 was out. So yeah, I think that's pretty much around it. But I just have one final point for Nintendo before I close off talking about Nintendo.
Before we send a full angry mob to Japan.
Yeah, there's two points. First of all, I still don't understand what happened to Ubisoft and Rayman Legends. If that game come out exclusive for Nintendo for that 6-month period, I think they would have sold a hell of a lot more copies. Ubisoft did the wrong thing there by waiting the following year to all come out on multi-platform. That was a stupid move. Secondly, Unity, the gaming, the programming platform is now available to program and make games on smartphones. So once we've got the smartphone's battery life up, Nintendo can't rest on the 3DS, or it can't rest on their handheld, because as soon as smartphones have got that battery capacity, that's another thing they're getting in trouble with.
That's not going to happen in another 10 years, man.
Haven't they? They're already moving. Nintendo's already moving. Didn't you see the thing about Shuffle coming to Android and iOS?
Which I've already heard.
Yeah, so they've got a partnership with Dina.
I've already heard the mobile version of Shuffle is actually fucking worse. Like, not only are they still, like, back at the stuff from the very early days of Shuffle, you know, like, right now, the special Pokemon you can get are Manaphy, the Safari Zone, and Manetrix Megastone. But right now they're on, like, the Mew stuff and the Rotom lineup. But if you actually try to take down Mew, it costs 2 hearts, not 1.
God dang.
So they've been that must have been. I haven't played Shuffle. I downloaded it, but I never actually booted it up. And so I'm not super familiar.
Pokemon guy, so.
It's an okay puzzle game, but the problem is it has the free-to-play model, so it has a lot of that baggage with it. Like, for example, hearts are basically how many tries you're allowed to have before you have to wait to play again, and you only get 5. And then you have to wait, like, 2 hours to get all 5 of them refilled. Just for the record, Pokemon Shuffle is the kind of game you play while you're taking a shit.
Oh, wow. So basically like Super Mario Land or something like that.
I don't know.
You can just take one big one and then you'll be done.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I think that's one of the funny things about I haven't actually played it very much lately because my 3DS's control stick is starting to get wobbly and I don't want to. I'm probably about to go.
Well, Shuffle doesn't use joysticks at all.
Get myself a new 3DS. Yeah, I know that. No, I was talking about
Rumble World. Rumble World. Oh, that's a meh game if there ever was one.
The I was playing Rumble World for a while, but then I stopped because my control stick is starting to get wobbly from all the abuse between it and Smash. I was gonna wait until till I got a new 3DS XL and transferred my shit over to that before I really mess with it again. I was just gonna say that I thought Rumble World was not as like it still has some of the trappings, but I felt like you can, if you really want to continuously play it, you can play it as opposed to something like Shuffle. Yeah.
All right, so Duke. Your go. What have you been playing?
Honestly, for my reviews, video reviews, I've been playing a lot of Ratchet and Clank. The first game is okay, but Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is so much better. I mean, strafing is so much fun. You don't realize when you miss what you miss strafing when you can't do it. It's a lot fun. Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is so much fun and exciting, and it just everything just works. All the guns, all the weapons, the wacky humor. I liked it, still like it, and I can't wait to play more of it. Also, what I've been playing a little bit of is Skies of Acadia on my GameCube. Sky Acadia Legends. Really fun, a very underrated game. Very good RPG with Sky Pirates and everything else. It's something that people should be really looking to and play if they can find it. And I heard rumors that Sega might be putting it up on Steam, which would be great, and actually will prove that they actually made games other than Sonic and ruining him and over again. And last game I've been playing is a bit of Splatoon and Smash and also some Fallout 3.
Getting prepared for Fallout 4?
Oh yes, and I'm going to see if I can try to get some money for that Pip-Boy thing. And if I can, I will probably rock that and try to wear that everywhere I go.
From what I hear, that Pip-Boy thing will only fit certain phones, which makes sense. I mean, it's only so big.
Yes. But
so it makes sense.
Oh goodness! But if I found a way to get it out, that would just be my perfect. I'll probably never take that thing off. I'll be going to sleep with it. Probably taking a bath. I hope it's water resistant. Or the last thing you ever see me, you're gonna be like, "Oh, this front paper like zzz, done." But yeah, that was gonna be some fun.
Superplex Bros, getting shocked in the shower discussion. But, okay, so that's it, what you've been playing, or?
Yeah, that's it. I have nothing else to say.
Okay, I guess I'll finally go. I haven't been playing much. Like I said, I've dipped and dabbed in the new Terraria update. Otherwise, I've just been playing more old school games and, trying to come up with ideas for Summer of Classics. Which, for those who don't know, of course, Katie, this shouldn't come as a surprise to you. I love classic gaming. That's pretty much all I wrote about on your website when we did We Do Tech.
It sure was.
I did get a couple of games, modern games to review. I still have those games, believe it or not. I haven't played them in forever, but I still have them. But, yeah.
I can't even remember what they were, mate, to be honest.
One of them was that, Arkanoid kind of game. Where you're breaking brick breaking shit. I forget what it was called, but,
yeah, Arkanoids.
It wasn't actually Arkanoid. It was an Arkanoid-like game. But,
I know what it was. It was Shatter.
Was it Shatter? I could have swore it was called something else, but I'd have to look. I know it was the levels you can get were one was pirate themed, and then there was a medieval themed level, and Magic Ball or something like that.
I think it was.
It might have been.
God, there's so many versions of Arkanoid out there. I'm surprised I haven't made a movie yet.
Really, Arkanoid was just an update on Breakball.
I'm surprised they haven't made a movie about that yet.
Oh, God. How the hell do you make a movie about Arkanoid?
I don't know, they made one about Battleship.
Stars Dwayne Johnson as the ball. Oh, God.
It's actually a sequel to Tooth Fairy.
Oh, God.
Why do you
Are we trying to make the worst movie ever? Because we can do that right now.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Oh, God. Anyway,
Is anyone going to see Pixel, by the way?
No.
I don't know much about it. I mean, if somebody said, hey, here, come see Pixel, I'd probably sit and watch it. But I'm not much of a movie guy, so.
I'm probably going to go see it. I'm going to be like, if I get a free ticket, I'll go see it.
I think... Oh, wait, I didn't get a turn with, what am I playing? Then again, I haven't really changed. Well, I did start playing some Payday 2.
Austin, we ended your turn. Why are you trying to interrupt my turn with, I've been playing Payday 2? Come on, man. Get with it. Get with it, man.
I thought we were done.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, I'm done. So, I guess with that, we can wrap up this shit show. Good God. I have no faith in anything I do. So, on that note, I'd like to thank both DukeCT and Katie for showing up. Thank you guys for coming.
No problem. I mean, I had nothing else to do today. But anyway, if you want to hear...
I had nothing else to do. I'll grace your show.
But if you want to hear me jibber jabber by myself, mostly, I do the DukeCT Lounge podcast, and I ramble about pro wrestling and video games as well, and also I do a video review series and called Last Reviewer Standing, and I'm basically in the middle of doing that stuff as well. So yeah, I just need to do that. And don't worry if you are one of my fans who actually listen to this. Don't worry, the Ratchet Clank Going Commando review is coming. Hopefully by next week, by Sunday. Hopefully.
All right. And of course, Katie of the Gamerscore Horrors, please shield more.
Okay, you can check us out at www.gamerscorehorse.com or on our YouTube channel called Gamerscore Horse, available on iTunes, Plex. We even do live streaming on Periscope for those that like seeing us live. God knows what can happen when we go live. We're going to be at Gamescom in Germany in August, So we're going to be doing plenty of on-location podcasts from there and getting insanely drunk. So it should be a good couple of weeks worth of content between now and the end of August. But yeah, check it out. It'd be nice to see you guys.
Yeah, shit, I'd love to go to a gaming conference. I've never been to any kind of conference or anything like that, ever.
It's fun, man. It's really
not
fun.
even a convention, none of it.
But
never
you
done
know,
any of it.
but if you are going to go to a convention, I will give you a little bit of advice, and anyone else who asks here. First, get lots of water. Drink that water up, and because you got to keep hydrated. Get some comfortable shoes, and most important,
don't eat the brown acid.
Yes, but also, which I hate to keep saying this, but some people over conventions they don't listen. They don't do any hygiene. It's not important to them. They just go out. They stink. Just wash your ass.
You stink, goddammit!
Exactly.
You stink!
I go to MacFest. I go to AwesomeCon. I'm at New York City Comic Con. They're great people there, but sometimes I'm like, dude, you just take a couple 10 minutes to just go wash your little stuff off. And, I don't want to be standing in line next to some guy who's a funk that smell like, the Iron Man suit, and it's not holding down the funk. You know what I mean? It's not holding it down.
Yeah, you don't want to smell like Ranch dressing.
Yeah, it takes only 5 minutes. I think, and the people who you're going to meet will be a lot more appreciative to you.
I know, from what I've heard from other people, one major problem with conventions is a lot of people tend to get sick when they're over.
Oh, yes, the con flu.
And I'm pretty sure that might have something to do with it.
Oh, yeah. I'm tempted to just cosplay as just as one of those, wear a bit of a, what is those things called? Suit, hazmat suit. Just to see if I actually will, just cosplay, just say I'm a hazmat guy. Just walk around and something like that.
I was going to say, you should cosplay as Bullbox from Evo, The Search for Eden. I don't know if you've ever seen, I showed this to Austin earlier. Evo, The Search for Eden is a game on the Super Nintendo, and Bullbox is the final boss, and he's basically a giant amiibo with a penis arm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, those wacky Japan. Japan.
It straight up looks like a dick. Anyway, on that lovely note...
I can't wait for the 3D remake.
Oh, yeah. Get right in your face with it. But, on that lovely note, I'm Dave.
I'm DukeCT.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Katie.
And this is the Superplex Brothers Podcast, and until next time, take care.